Hello and welcome to the Three Peaks podcast, where we take a break from the hike of life and appreciate the views. Today, we have a very special guest, Ashley Larsen. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. So we want to give you a quick second to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about your career and some of your hobbies.
My name is, as you heard, Ashley Larsen. I am a former educator. Before I had children, I received a master's degree in reading, curriculum, and instruction, and also 3 different teaching credentials. So I taught general education, kindergarten, 5th grade, 1st grade, some different areas. I was a response to intervention specialist, which means that I analyzed the data for the school I was working for, reading and math comprehension skills, and then I developed ways to progress the students as a whole at the school. And then I also worked as a special educator in different areas, anywhere from children of 3 years old to adults to 22 years old. And I worked in many different states and districts and areas. And then I had 2 children of my own, and I left the teaching career, my teaching profession, to raise my babies. So they are 6 and 5. My daughter's almost 7. This month she turns 7. So I have my hands full with them.
Yeah.
That, as moms and dads know, is a full-time job.
Yeah.
However, now that they're in school and we've transitioned through that very nicely, they love school, thank goodness, because it's very important, I believe, to love to learn. I believe that will carry you through a lifetime. You might not necessarily even need to like school, as I know some children and adults don't. To be honest, I didn't even really like school, but I love to learn. And that's a skill that will carry you through a lifetime. And it has for me. That's been my case. Now that the kids have transitioned and they're in full-time school, I have some extra time on my hands. So my husband is an entrepreneur. He is actually been awarded the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the United States. And so I build a business with him and direct sales. It's a health business. So I work, traveling with him, building the business. And also now I have ventured into real estate. So you just never know where life will take you. And I truly believe that that's why being a lifetime learner and loving to learn will carry you through your life, because some people may argue, you should just stick to one career and just get really good at that. But life changes and your goals will change with that, and your family's goals will change with that, with life changing. And if you can adapt and transition and keep learning, depending on where the world takes us, right now we're seeing in the world, ever since COVID, inflation skyrocketing, and we won't get into politics, but just a lot of changes are occurring, and they will continue to do so. They have from as long as we can remember. We're ever evolving. And if you're a lifelong learner, then you can learn to evolve with it and really put yourself in a place to dominate, no matter what is happening around you.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, on your Instagram bio, I see a link that it says Heart and Hands for Humanity. And I was wondering if you can tell us more about what that is.
I would love to. With my husband's company, we have a nonprofit called Hearts and Hands for Humanity. This is an organization that we drill water wells for villages and people in Tanzania, Africa. I actually just got back from my first trip to Africa a couple weeks ago, and we were there for 10 days drilling wells at different schools and villages and churches for these communities who didn't have access to clean water. And because of this, we might think, okay, so what? Go to the store, get water, whatever. That's just not the case there. Some of these children were having to travel miles and miles and miles on foot with buckets, literally carrying buckets to these water sources, and then walking miles home with this water. It would take all day, and children weren't able to go to school because of this. And even worse, tragedies and violence and just different things would happen along this journey to collect water to these children who were not protected. And so now that they have water drills at their villages and schools and locations, they can just get their water right from there. And now a lot of children are able to go to school because they have fresh water. And not only are they able to go to school, also we're not seeing as much violences and deaths. Over 2,000 children a day die in Tanzania because of a lack of water. That's a lot of children. One death a day is too much. 2,000 is just astounding. And so we have drilled enough wells now to provide water for over 400,000 people. So it's a huge accomplishment. We're very proud. I keep in close contact with some of the people that live in Tanzania, and going there is an experience that you just can't explain. It's life-changing, truly. And I've been fortunate enough to work in different areas within the US where I've served and helped people who are in need. But to go overseas to Africa, to a different culture and a different country and a different continent, was the trip of my lifetime. And so we have a trip planned again for next summer, and I can't wait to go back.
And what you guys are doing over there is absolutely incredible. And I feel like when doing that, you kind of have a change in your mindset. So when working with the Heart and Hands for Humanity, how has it changed you as a person?
I almost didn't go on the trip. I thought I would rather take, because it's not, cheap to travel to Africa. So I thought, let's take the money that we would use for me to go to Africa and let's give it to the people, because they need resources. And to get resources, you need money. That's just the way it is. So I thought, I was being selfless by having this sort of mentality. And I could not have been more wrong. I'm so glad that I ended up going, because I selfishly thought that me going there was going to help, these people in so many ways, and it did. We are helping them. But the lesson I learned was I learned more from them than they ever could learn from me. And I've taken what I've learned from them back here to the United States. And I believe that those lessons and that joy and gratitude and positivity has hopefully exuded to my family and friends and my community here. And I just really feel it necessary to give the people of Tanzania the credit that they deserve, because the joy and the gratitude is like nothing we would ever experience here in the United States and many places. And so that was the biggest lesson learned. And I just couldn't be more thrilled and happy that I put my ego aside and had a mindset shift. And I went And I didn't think, oh, I'm going on a vacation. Oh, I'm going to help them necessarily, but I'm going to put myself in a different experience. And because I did that, I learned that I just learned so much more from them than they could ever learn from me.
Yeah. And with this trip to Africa, you've been able to meet so many amazing people, but on your trip, you were able to meet a little girl named Nash, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you could tell us more about the connection that you had with Nash on your trip to Africa.
Goodness. One of the first primary schools that we visited, on one of the first days there were just children everywhere. Primary school, from ages, and I don't know all of their ages, but I would say anywhere from 3 to 12 probably, or 13, somewhere around there. And we brought backpacks with handmade dolls and handmade cars and books and pencils and different things, and water bottles that they could fill up at their well. This is a primary school that has a well that we donated, so that's why we were going there. And when we got there, each of us, I was able to travel there with my family. My husband's adults, grown children went on the trip, and then one of our grandchildren who is 11. So the other grandkids and Avery and Harlan, my little ones, are too small for that long trip. It's a 30-hour trip there and a 30-hour trip back. So we took the older ones. But when each of us got off the bus, children just literally swarmed us, and there were kids everywhere. And we passed out candy, and it was so amazing. And 2 little girls clung to my hands. And literally I spent the rest of the day just holding on to these little girls with a bunch of other little girls around, and we would just walk around, and they didn't speak very proficient English yet. Right. Usually they learn that as they get older. So they knew a little bit, but not much. And I found that it didn't even matter. That language barrier was irrelevant. We had such a great time just being in each other's presence, and they loved brushing my hair. They showed us their environment that they are at every day. And this little girl just clung to me all day. And so we left, and I thought, I probably won't see her again. I didn't even know her name at that point. And the next day we had to go back to this school because there were some supplies that we had missed that we needed to give to children that we didn't know were going to be there, and we wanted everybody to have something. So we went back and got off the bus, and again, all the children are swarming, and I look down and I see this little girl crying. And so I'm like, oh no, I thought, maybe she got her foot stepped on or trampled or something. So I'm wiping away her tears, and as I'm looking closer at her face, I realize this is the little girl that clung to me the whole day, the day before. And I found out her name that day, and it's Nash, and she has a Muslim name, and I cannot pronounce it, but I have it written down and I do know it. But we call her Nash, and that is her name that she goes by. And so we leave, and there were tears and so much joy, but also sadness, and just not knowing if I would ever see her again. And so we're traveling home after the trip, and 8-hour layover in Kenya. And so I'm just sitting there, reflecting on the trip, and I'm thinking, I wonder what Nash means. So I know that my name, Ashley, means ash tree, and I've known that. But I was curious what Nash meant. So I Googled it, and this is just a God moment that it's just not a coincidence. You can't explain it. But Nash literally means a dweller beneath the ash tree. Wow. And she literally dwelled beneath the crook of my arm
Mhm.
all day, 2 days during that trip, not knowing her name for a full day and a half, and then
Mhm.
having no idea what it meant. When I looked that up and I learned that, I just got chills everywhere, and I was just sobbing in the airport by myself. And people are probably looking at me like, what is wrong with her? Like, if you could only know, if you could only know what I just found out and I just experienced.
Mhm.
And this is what I mean by, if I wouldn't have gone on this trip, I wouldn't have met her. And there was a reason I met her.
Mhm.
So we're going to keep in contact, and we're still working on some ways to get her here to the US at least for a visit. So she'll remain a part of my life, and I believe that she was meant to.
Mhm. And within your journey of, with heart and hands and just your life journey and all, who have been some of your mentors?
My husband has been my main mentor, Dallin Larsen. I learned so much from him. Is he brought two companies to $1 billion in sales before I met him. He's working on his third awarded entrepreneur, Ernst & Young Entrepreneur
Mhm.
of the Year. He is a wonderful father, a wonderful friend. Even achieving all of these accolades in his professional career, he always makes time for his family and his friends and anybody, really anybody who needs him. He is available to make time for them. And that's rare. Unfortunately, people, men or women, who are very driven and accomplished and busy building such a huge business and career, sometimes fall short in other areas of their life. And really, to be rich in life, we need to be fulfilled mentally, physically, spiritually, financially.
Mhm.
And he encompasses all those things. It's really easy to get sort of laser focused when you're a driven person and just focus on work. But to be very well rounded and really be the most successful that you can be and the best person you could be for your community around you, including your family, you really need to be rich in all areas of life.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so he has taught me that, among others. I had a mentor, Rick Gutman, who was part of the company that my husband is the founder of. And he was the first person to teach me these skills. And then when I met my husband, of course, he's one of Rick's mentors too. So those skills and lessons have just been continuing through my life. And as I meet different people, I'm realizing that, oh, this isn't really a new sort of profound way of thinking. Most successful people that we meet have learned these skills and they implement them in their lives. And that's why they are where they are.
Yeah. And like going back a little, since you help people in Africa, I was just wondering, why do you think it's important for people to help one another?
Oh, goodness. How do I answer this? To be quite honest, I am introverted. It's very easy for me to get set in a bubble and just sort of focus on what I'm doing and not look left, not look right, and not pay attention to what's going around me. Because even though, I've received a master's, 3 teaching credentials, real estate license, working on a second real estate license, I've done many things. I know I'm 37 years old, and I did most of those things by the age of 26.
Mhm.
It's not easy to do, and especially, I don't love school. That's why I said that in the beginning. I don't really love school, but I love to learn, which are two very different things. And I've been fortunate to have some teachers in my life who have continued to help promote that love of learning, because a teacher is a very valuable and very important person in a young person's life. They can make or break you with your love of learning, right? So I did have some who helped with that, but I really didn't love school in general. I just loved to read, I loved to learn, and I did well in school because I thought that's what would make me successful. That's what I was taught, right? So anyway, it's very easy for me to get caught up in my bubble and just stay laser focused, because it's not easy for me to accomplish things. It takes a lot of focus and a lot of work. But that's really not, in my opinion, after my experiences now, it's really not the best way to learn. And to become successful. We're all trying, everybody's trying to become successful. And what we're missing is that to become successful, you really do need to have people in your life that are helping you grow, because we learn so much from each other. Not only are they learning from me, but I'm learning so much from them. And that's important. It's important to surround ourselves with not just like-minded people, I believe, but people of different opinions, so that we can learn and grow by hearing those different opinions. And people have opinions based on their experiences and their backgrounds. And I think it's such a blessing to be able to be put in positions where we're surrounded by differences, because we can learn from their experiences. We can't go through everything, right? We only have so much time, and that's just not realistic. But when we surround ourselves by different people, we can learn from their experiences that we might not have experienced ourselves. And when you do that, your community grows, and what you have to offer your community and the people around you expands. And hopefully that's good things, right? We want to be infectious in positivity and not negativity. And so that's why it is important to surround yourself with positivity, and be careful who you surround yourself with. But I don't think that means you need to surround yourself necessarily with just people who are exactly like you, because then I don't believe you grow very much from constantly hearing things you already know and being around people who have experienced the exact same things as you. Like, I've already experienced those things. I've already learned those things. Everyone has a different take on them, but it's still very similar. I'd rather learn from somebody who is completely different.
And with all that being important to someone, something I wanted to ask is, what is the importance of good mental health to you?
I really think we all struggle with mental health in some areas. I'm not an expert in mental health. I'm an educator, and I did teach in environments where I was teaching children with emotional disturbances, and children through adults of 22 years old with severe emotional disturbances. So I have a limited amount of knowledge on how to teach people with emotional disturbances and mental illness, but I'm not an expert in the area, the actual illness itself. But I would argue that more people than we think suffer with some type of mental illness, anywhere from anxiety to depression to other types of illnesses. And what I have found in my personal life, life is a roller coaster, and it's just impossible to keep your life like this. If your life is like this, I would argue that you're not really growing very much. So most people's lives are like this. And with that come different moods, and you learn different things about you and about yourself. And it's important to have a strong physical, mental, and emotional health, because life gets hard. And when you can create habits that will aid in those peaks and valleys, it's detrimental to success, and to your health, and to your happiness, and to the people around you and their health and happiness. Because like I said before, we don't want to be infectious of our negativity and our issues. We want to infect positivity and health. And so some ways that help me, I drink a gallon of water a day. I make sure to work out regularly. I love hot yoga. I constantly read. I'm always working on a purpose higher than myself. That's really important to me. And I take supplements that are good for my body. I try to eat as healthy as I can, although I'm not perfect. Those are the things that help me. And everybody's a little bit different. So you sort of do have to experiment and figure out what works best for you. But that has seemed to be my recipe for a strong mental health.
Yeah. So just to go back a little bit to your trip in Africa, you were able to take a lot of pictures and make a lot of memories with the people there. And one of the photos you were able to post on Instagram, actually, someone on Instagram had posted an art adaptation of it, and you were able to actually purchase it. And I was wondering if you could tell us more about the photo that turned into the art piece that you were able to have.
Actually, that just happened this morning. I had posted a photo that I took in Tanzania of me and a little boy with our peace signs up, and I love it because our fingers are connecting. Our peace signs, our fingers are touching, and he has his head on my shoulder, and kind of like this on his head, and he was just so loving. And we were at a soccer tournament in Tanzania, which is a big deal for Tanzania. The community puts it on, and I mean, these soccer players are amazing. And the whole community is there, and we're sitting in chairs, and there's like security, and there's an announcer, and there was a rainbow, and it was just a beautiful day. It was amazing, a great experience. And I'm not even really a big soccer fan, but to be there, I was like, okay, now I'm a soccer fan, because it was so fun. I had no idea. And we won the tournament. They lost the year before, which I wasn't there for that. And I like to say that I was their good luck charm, because they won when we were there. I'm just kidding. But these little kids were just like surrounding us and just wanted to sit so close to us. So we're just snuggling up to them. And I don't even know this little boy's name, but when we're there, the children say selfie, selfie, and they see our phones and they say selfie. And so they want us to like snap a picture with them. So we're just snapping away. And he was just a little boy that I was drawn to. And so I posted his photo, and somebody reached out, and forgive me, I don't know her name, but it is on my Instagram. If you want to.
Her name is Jada Artworks.
Jada _ artworks on Instagram, and it's JEDA, right? _artworks. So I posted, she reached out to me and asked if she could turn that photo into a cartoon art piece, a graphic. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So I bought it, and she had it done within 20 minutes, I think.
Wow.
And then, and it's just amazing. I don't know how she did it. I don't really need to know how she did it. I love the final results, and I'm glad that I said yes. Sometimes we get these DMs on social media, and of course there is a lot of spam on there, and that's hard to sift through. So I really try to use my best judgment on who I give my time to, because our time is very valuable. And I just had a good feeling about her. So I responded back, and I'm glad I did, because I love that artwork, and I loved that memory, that picture. Even though I don't know a lot about that little boy, you could just feel the spirit through the photograph, and it's a great memory.
Yeah. All right.
So for our last question on the podcast, it's usually known as the big question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right.
I think.
So our big question to you is, what is your advice that you would give to the younger generations?
Ooh, that is a big question. I would advise any young person to really listen to your own heart and your own mind, your own spirit, and let that lead you into your adult life. don't go after a career because you think it's the next best thing, or your parents do it, or your friends are saying you'd be really good at it, or
Yeah.
maybe you would be really good at it, but your
Yeah.
spirit just doesn't feel right about it. And you're wanting to pursue something that is your passion. Please listen to your heart. Please try to pursue your passion.
Yeah.
Let's just say you don't make it. Let's just say it doesn't lead to you to where you think it's going to lead you. All of these experiences in our lives lead us to a different experience, and you just
Right.
never know where that's going to take you.
Yeah.
But you can waste a lot of time, and you're young, so you have time.
Yeah. Right.
But it's never good to waste time. I
Right.
don't want to waste my time, and I don't want you to waste your time.
Mhm.
And I would really just encourage the younger generations to listen to your heart and mind, your spirit, and follow your passion.
Yeah.
And work hard at it. Because if you really want something and you give it your all, even if you fail, it's going to propel you to the next place, to where you're meant to be. And all of those experiences are going to help you get to
Mhm.
where you end up. And I don't believe we ever get to where we end up until the end of life. You know, we're constantly learning and we're constantly changing. And you know, my husband had 12 careers before he found what he was really meant to do. And I've had a few careers and I still am nowhere near finding what I'm really meant to do. But all these things are leading to, you know, my life, my life experience. And you only have one life.
Right.
So make it the best, follow your passion, and block out the noise. There will always be naysayers, block it out,
Right.
and focus on positivity, focus on your health, focus on things that are going to make your body from the inside out as healthy as you can. Because when you get to those rough challenges, that is going to help skyrocket you to the next step.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. We just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to meet with us. It was an absolute pleasure.
It has been my honor. Thank you three so much.
All right. That's all we have for you guys on the Three Peaks podcast. We'll see you guys on the trail next time.
Bye-bye.